So one of the more common questions that I get about the Lyriq is about the interior. Is the cabin any good? How are the materials? How is the space? Things like that. So what I thought I'd do now is give you a semi-detailed tour of the cabin of the Lyriq. Again, this is my first time driving it, and this is really my first hour with it in general. So, I haven't learned as much about it as I probably would if I were driving it for a lot longer than that. But nevertheless, this is my only opportunity to do this video right now. So here we go. First and foremost, to get into the Lyriq, what you got to do is there's this pull tab, and there's this handle here. It's really a button. You press the button, the door pops open a bit. You use the pull tab to get in and to really pull the door open. And from here we get a pretty nice angle, a pretty nice view rather, of the cabin. What I'd like to do is start with the door. Every material here that is actually going to be touched is soft touch. So this panel here, soft touch. This one here, very soft. This is actually quite soft in general for the elbow. This material here and this material, this is all part of that same material, so they're all soft. From there, this panel here, it actually is soft as well, so it's not hard like we've seen on several other Cadillac models. It is soft. Within this panel, there is a cup holder, and then if you look deep inside of there, it's kind of an umbrella holder or a storage area for other items. Over here, this is the door pull handle. So you get in, you're going to close the door by pulling on the door here. And this is the door release. So to get out of the vehicle, you simply pull on this tab there and it will pop it open. Window switch gear is located here. The power folding mirror switches here, mirror settings right there, and then the door lock and unlock controls are there. Above that is this interesting piece here. So this is real wood. It is very well done. I have to say it's really a high quality wood. And there are the seat controls right there along with the presets and the seat ventilation and heating functionality. This here is the massage seating control as well as the lumbar control as well. So beyond that, as you can see, there is this primary window here. There's also this little window right there, and a nice touch just to show you how far the team went as far as just attention to detail. What I'd like to show you is what happens on this glass. As you can see, there is a Cadillac logo, so that's a first. Typically Cadillacs, traditionally for the last 20 years, I'd say, maybe even more, they have had a GM logo along with a regular script here where it says tempered glass and all that stuff. In the case of the Lyriq, the logo has changed to a Cadillac because after all, this is a Cadillac. And the font, as the designers tell me, the font has also been changed to the Cadillac script, rather the Cadillac font. So very nice, although small, but still very nice attention to detail. Okay, so let's continue on with the door. This is backlit. So this is actually wood that has been perforated in this fashion. And these triangular elements, keep those in mind. We're going to come back to those throughout this video. So it gets cut out in this fashion, the wood. Behind it, there's a kind of from what I understand, a set of kind of a plastic glass or a plastic type of glass. I know that doesn't really make sense from a material standpoint. Obviously, a plastic type of glass doesn't exist, but there is some kind of a film back here, and then behind it is some metal. So you can see how it looks. If I can just focus on it here, it looks very nice. And then below it on the door, we have this speaker grill. There's actually two speaker grills, one here and one there. It's covering one tall AKG speaker. So this, look at the detailing on here. Again, this is very similar to the detailing we're seeing here. Check it out. It starts off one by one, little by little, then gets a little bit more pronounced, and then the holes get bigger, and guess what? We get back to this triangular shape that we see up here. And then this speaker grill, it is plastic, and it is down here. Okay, first things first on the inside. We have this nice little detail here with the Cadillac logo and 3 merlets. The passenger side equivalent is actually quite a bit different, and this is something that has been explained to me by Cadillac designers as carrying over from the original Cadillac crest. So it's kind of reversed, but the merlets are, and these vertical elements are configured rather on this side, on the passenger side, in a different configuration. So it's a nice little detail to have, and it's certainly a nice touch. Okay, beyond that, there's the sill with the Cadillac script and the silhouette of the Lyriq. I believe this is actually one of the silhouettes used in the sketches when developing the design for this vehicle. So from here, what we see is the cockpit, and it is a gorgeous cockpit. Please disregard that thing up there. That's my mounting bracket for recording video as I'm driving. So let's get in. Actually, before we get in, let's take a look at these seats. There's an AKG headrest, so really it's an AKG speaker within this headrest, and it does go up and down. It does not tilt. The seat itself, also nice perforations, just like on the headrest here. Just a set of nice perforations all throughout the seat itself. And this being the debut edition, it does have this nice blue vertical light pipe, or not light pipe, vertical pipe rather, going down the length of the seat back here. The cushion itself is like so. Now, designers also tell me that this seat is actually just about 2 inches wider than the seats installed in other Cadillac crossovers. Why is that? Well, that's because the seat controls have been relocated to the door, enabling the seat to come out more, because the driver will no longer need to put his or her hand in this area here to adjust the seats. So instead, what ended up happening is the chair itself, the seat itself, grew in width, which is always nice. And then they did give it this nice bolstered kind of, and really leather wrapped situation here. So that's nice. They could have just ended it here, but they didn't. See, they could have simply ended it where the plastic base covering ends. Instead, what they did is they continued. So if you're resting your leg here, you're not resting it on plastic, you're resting it on that material there, the actual seat material. Closing the door. Door feels solid when closed. As far as the materials go, I had already gone over the materials on the door, right? I should say that the material here on the dash, it is soft. This one up there, all the way up there, that is hard. Doesn't really matter to me, though. I'm never going to be touching that material. But that triangle shape is there as well within the speaker grills right there. So nice touch, again, showing the attention to detail. At the very top, there is a new overhead console, which is just awesome. I'm going to flip this back so you can see the rear camera mirror as well. Remember these triangular pattern elements there? Well, they are also present and accounted for here as well. So this pattern, it just makes its way throughout the cabin, and it again makes for a nice touch. You can see that the designers really spent a good amount of time thinking through the design here. This, where is it? Right there. This controls the shade, and it is a power shade for the fixed glass roof. and it is an enormous roof. Quite a lot of light that it lets in. Goes all the way back, almost to the back of the rear seat headrests. I'm going to close it for now. And then here are the OnStar controls, the hazards, and the passenger airbag indicator. The mirror, again, this is the rear camera mirror. Flip it back, it becomes a regular mirror, like so. The actual sun visors, now this is something interesting. Check this out. This is a very small sticker, right? Now typically, what happens is you get this big guy right here, this big ugly sticker, which is a requirement for vehicles in the US. Typically, it goes right here. Well, what designers have been able to figure out is they could say airbag warning, flip the visor over for further instructions, and that way they got away with not putting this on here. So just a much cleaner design overall as a result of that. The sun visor itself, standard issue, does have that nice little document holder both for the driver and the front passenger. You can put little parking passes, parking tickets, what have you there. And then that brings us to the pièce de résistance, which is this massive 33-inch display which integrates the instrument panel as well as the center stack display. There's a lot here going on. There are different modes. There is different themes here. So right now, and this is actually done via touchscreen, so I can go from gauge to, I can go to the energy screen, and then I could throw on a map as well. So that will display the map right there. Or I can go to the clean theme, and it is kind of a minimalistic theme. Below that, there are also some controls. So we can. This is the gauge selection. I can also go to the trip and swipe. How would I get from one to the other? I know that there's 4 of them here. There we go. So you can swipe across these like so. I might be doing it wrong. There it is. Just have to start over here when I'm swiping. There it is. And then there is the light controls. So as you can see, there are no light controls, no physical tactile light controls over here except for the dimmer switch, which controls the brightness of the display and the backlighting of the cabin itself. So we're going to leave these on auto, go back to the gauge, and there it is. So the gauge cluster as it stands right now, it displays the time, the ambient temperature, the date, as well as the this is the speedometer here down below, and the general power meter right there. The vehicle as it sits currently has 260 miles of range, and it's got 584 miles on the odometer. We are facing southeast, and we are in park as well. And the parking brake, that little park down there, that represents the parking brake, and then we have the Google Maps indicator right there. All of the graphics are really well done. They are clean. The brightness is just spot on. Like I said, I've been driving this vehicle for roughly about an hour now, have not had a single issue as far as glare is concerned, so very well done in general. Moving on over to the center display, there it is. Let me go back to, so this is the kind of the new home screen. I can go to all of these items here. Let me just hit maps. Nice full width. It makes perfect use of this real estate, which is really nice. And I can go home by clicking this button right there, or I can also do so via this rotary / button situation here. So if I spin this around, you basically it will select all the various options available. Okay, let me see here. I can also show you, there's ambient lighting settings, which I like to link them to drive mode. That's pretty cool. The screen is responsive. The colors are vivid and bright. Here's the camera. So this is the side camera. I can go the forward camera, and then same thing for the rear. If I go that way, that's the rear and the rear of the vehicle there. I do want to come back to the camera because I feel like I did a poor job explaining this. So one of the views was kind of strange, and that was because the mirrors were folded, and of course the cameras that enable the side view are located on the bottom of the mirrors. So when you fold them, it will essentially do that, which will be rather strange. But do take a look at a lot of these different elements. That triangle shape, this is kind of now a diamond shape over here, but it also comes back from, you know, from this section here to this section, and now it makes its way over here. In addition to that, what I'd really like to show you is these elements here. So the AC controls. This is the air volume controller, right? So this determines if it's closed or open. So I just closed it, and now I opened it. This just, again, it shows a substantial amount of attention to detail, because no Cadillac in recent history has had an AC vent that was treated with this amount of respect and attention to detail. This is simply incredible. I mean, the clicking here, look at this. It sounds perfect. I mean, downright perfect. I can close it. There it closes. Opens. The amount of detail, the designers actually sat there, and with every single button here, every button, whether you're talking about these buttons here, the window controls, which are all new, by the way, they do feel completely new. They feel completely different than everything else that I've ever seen in a Cadillac in the past 2 decades. So these are all new buttons. They've reworked all of the controls. Whatever the control may be, they tested it out to see how does the control behave whenever it actually is interacted with and you know, touched by the driver or any other vehicle occupant for that matter. So in this case, we can close it, we can open it, and then we can adjust it like so. It's a very, very nice way to treat the AC vents. And it might be difficult to show you from here, but if you look inside of this vent, there's also detailing in here with these lines right there. So they detailed the inside of the actual vent. Again, a lot of attention to detail is taking place in the Lyriq. So to get out of the Lyriq, you're going to want to pull on this, just like so. It feels good, feels solid. And then these buttons here, this is the park button, lane keep, assist, auto hold, and then the brightness. The HVAC stack is right here, so these are the HVAC controls. Check out the animation here. I'm going to flip the number up, and it actually gets bigger before getting a bit smaller. You see that? So I'm going to, here we go, I'm going to bring it back to 64, okay, and it got a little smaller. Same thing with this vent speed. Gets this way and then shrinks back down. Very nice. Again, attention to detail as it relates to all of these little things that Cadillacs have really lacked for, in my opinion, have lacked for the last several generations. Let's take a look at the steering wheel and everything taking place here for the driver. So the left stalk is right here. It's a turn signal stalk. It also has settings for the windshield wipers. And here's the thing. This is another one of these things that the Cadillac Lyriq team has just gotten very, very, very right. Let me show you if I can get it here. Just look at the design of this turn signal stem in the first place. We have not seen one like this from Cadillac ever, right? This is just the design, the way that it's designed, the shape of it, the overall quality of the controls. They just feel good. This is the single wipe function right there. I'm going to turn it off. So the shape, the way that the buttons feel, and the way this entire stock feels to the touch. Pressing it down, nice and solid That's a turn signal indicator there. Here as well. And guess what? The Lyriq doesn't suffer from the same kind of issues that other new generation GM vehicles suffer from, which is that this turn signal stalk is really just too far away from the steering wheel itself. No, this one, they got it right. Your hand is resting here, you can just boom, up or down. Very nice. In some other GM vehicles, this is pushed way too far back, so you have to really reposition your entire hand to interact with it. In this case, not the case at all. This is the actual gear selector, or in this case, it's like no longer the gear selector because there's technically just, you know, the one forward gear and the one rear gear. But in order to interact with it, so pressing this, that sets the park button right there. That's how you put it in park. To get it into a gear, you hold down the brake, pull it a bit, and then that puts it in neutral. And then if I put it down, it will put it into drive. Doing the same thing, and up puts it into reverse, and then again pressing that puts it into park. This is very user-friendly. This might not seem like it is user-friendly, but it is very, very user-friendly. Just after an hour of driving the Lyriq, I've been able to get accustomed to it. So this is the Cruise, the Super Cruise steering wheel. It is currently not enabled. They're currently working through enabling it, and there will be a software update by the end of 2022 that enables the Super Cruise. All the hardware is already here. It just will need a software update to be enabled. Okay, and the buttons here. So you have the distance, the following distance selector here, the cruise control. This is resume and set. This is the Super Cruise enabler, the heated steering wheel enabler, cancel cruise control, and turn on cruise control. So those are the settings here. Nice monochrome Cadillac logo right here in the middle. And then this is all of the media and infotainment functions controls here. All of these buttons, they feel extremely, extremely well. Just like these buttons here and, you know, all the other buttons, Cadillac has simply redone the way that these buttons feel. I do have some fingerprint stuff on them right now. Let me not do that. So the volume up and down button, like so. And then this is the selector for brings up several items in here, so I could select. Let's go hits one, so I can go up and down, and I can press this one in, which is nice. The media controls below it are here, and these, they aren't physical buttons, but they do click. So if I were to say this button right here, I can go boom. There it is. So I just muted that, or I hung up with somebody if I was on a call. The steering wheel itself is nice and meaty. It is thicker because of the Super Cruise functionality in here. But it is nice to the touch. It's very nice to hold and interact with. So there is that. Okay, below the HVAC control panel here, what we've got is this very nice storage tray. Again, this color is part of the debut edition, this blue, and it is matched with the pipe on the seats that I had already shown you previously. This is just, the Cadillac calls this the jewelry set, the jewelry tray. It's meant to emulate a fine jewelry kind of storage tray, and trust me, that's really the best way to put it. It's really nice. There is another storage area here that will come out. I believe this will drop down. This is a pre-production model, so they did disable this one, I believe, on this one. On this particular unit, rather. And then finally, all the way down here, there's the nice Cadillac script and a USB-C port. And that brings us to the floating storage, or rather the floating console concept, which you can best see right here. So essentially, this center console, it floats and it creates this really large storage space here between the two front seats. In this case, again, this being the debut edition, it is color-coded blue. And that brings us to here, the center console. So the center console is well done, just like everything else here. The controls, this is the volume control here. There it is. I can click it and it will mute. This feels extremely good, like almost like it's almost like a jewelry item. And there's a lot of that here going on, just like these surrounds on the cup holders here as well, right? This kind of looks very much like it belongs in the jewelry store. One little touch to the cup holders that I should note is this. So if you have a mug that has a big handle, you can put it in there and it will fit. And we don't need it anymore. You press this button and it comes back up. Very nice touch on the part of Cadillac Lyriq designers. Over here, this is essentially the controller for the center screen, and it's the same kind of concept that Cadillac already has, just slightly modified to have these buttons here in this fashion, as well as, well, again, look at this. This looks like a jewelry. It belongs in some kind of a jewel. I'm not quite sure which one. I'm not a huge jewelry person myself, but to me it looks beautiful. Over here is the inductive phone charger, and again, this allows the cup holders to be for cups and this phone holder to be, well, for phones. Just the way it should be. That's a really nice touch here, the way that the positioning works. It all works really well in my opinion. And then the actual cover for the storage underneath the center armrest, this is magnetic. This is the first time that Cadillac has used a magnet here, so there is no latch. Just pull it. Magnet is right there. There it is. And here you have a nice deep storage area. You have a USB-C port, a 12-volt port right there as well, and there's another USB-C port right here. Overall, a very, very, very nice place to spend time. The Cadillac Lyriq's interior is by far, in my opinion, by far the best Cadillac interior, in a Cadillac vehicle that I've seen in a very, very long time. There's a lot of detailing, a lot of attention to detail, a lot of really nice elements, really nice trim. I really am a fan of the way these metals interact with the black wood on the doors. All of these different punches that the design team used with that kind of triangular pattern, the way that those speakers, the speaker grills are treated, just really nice. One small little detail that I didn't yet mention is that right there. So the front passenger does not have an handle right here above them. What they have instead is that, and I'm not quite sure if that would really double and do well as an handle, or whether or not it actually kind of wouldn't serve much of a purpose. Interestingly, the rear seat passengers have the typical handles that are overhead, but again, the front passenger has it right there on the A-pillar. Not quite sure. I have yet to experience this car from a passenger standpoint, so not quite sure how this will work and whether or not it's actually useful, but we'll see. Going back to such details as the sound of the buttons and the animation of the buttons, just these are the little things, right? But hey, the devil is in the details, and quite frankly, this to me, that Cadillac has really, they told me this morning, they sat there and they said, okay, how does this sound? Is that too loud? Do we need to decrease the volume on this? Not the volume of the fan, but the volume of the button itself. So really nice there. As you notice, there doesn't appear to be a sync button. So you know, if you have this and you want the passenger to be synced up with the driver temperature, you're going to have to control those individually, it seems like. I have not been able to yet see an actual button to sync the two sides. There is also a glove box down here, but as you can see, there's no release. So the release is done by soft controls and glove box release. There it is. The glove box itself is well done. Again, this is a very little thing, but it is a very little thing that shows just how much attention to detail Cadillac designers paid when they were developing this vehicle. So, get this out of here and show you the glove box. Look at that. Nice liner here, very nice liner. I have not seen a Cadillac glove box as nice as this in really ever. The shape, it's flat, it's not all bumpy in there. You don't have one little recess that's, you know, I got some stuff on me, it looks like. Don't have any recesses in there that are, you know, make this kind of an odd shape. This is just a great glove box, great attention to detail. And again, the devil in this case, in my opinion, is in the details. So here's another look at the cabin, or rather at the cockpit here. There it is. And at the doors. Let me show you the rear seat. Alright, so what I'll do is I will adjust this seat to where I would typically drive. It's funny, I was looking for the controls on the bottom of the seat. So this is where I would drive. So I'm going to hop in the back seat. Unlike the front doors, the rear doors here are opened in a similar but not exactly the same fashion. There is no pull handle here. So, like so, door pops open. The door itself is nice and big. Whoops, it's a little difficult to do with one hand. The door itself is nice and big. It doesn't open as much as I would hope that it would have opened. This is kind of as far as it opens, so I wish it would have opened a bit more towards, kind of toward the 90 degree angle. But nevertheless, when you do open the door, you do have this nice pad. So you're not, since there is no handle here, like there is here, what you're doing is you're pressing, it pops the door open, you grab it here, and you're not grabbing sheet metal, you're actually grabbing this pad. The materials here, soft, 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 soft. You get the idea. It's all soft. And this the triangular shapes here, again, they carry on over from all the elements that I'd shown you before at the front. You also have a nice way to either lock or unlock the doors from the rear. That's pretty nice. And this is an auto up and auto down window switch. So they didn't cut any corners there. That's great. The door release, like so. There's a cup holder and a little bit of a storage area back there. There's plenty of space here. Here is how the back of the actual front seats looks like. So I'm 5'9". This seat is adjusted to where I would drive. I got plenty of room. Again, I'm 5'9", and I still have quite a bit of room to stretch out. There's, this probably can accommodate someone who's quite a bit taller with no problem. The front of the rear rather of the seat back of the front seat backs, very attractive. I think the design here is well done. There's a nice map pocket here, both on the driver's chair and on the passenger chair, and then the rear of the center console. So this is the way this looks. Nice little tray here. AC adjustments. Okay. These don't turn like the ones in the front. They simply go side to side. This is the closed position. Yep, now I've closed them off. And then below that, 2 USB-C ports and a 110 household outlet. That's very nice. So overall, there's quite a bit of space here, and it is a very attractive amount of space. I also have plenty of headroom. So again, I'm sitting here. Quite a bit of room. I'm not touching anything. Very nice here. I can flip down this center armrest. There it is. It's got space for 2 cups and the armrest itself. Put that back. And I want to know if these rear seats recline. Yes, they do. They certainly do recline. That's great. So that's the rear seat. Quite a bit of room. Again, the same level of detailing on the rear doors as for the front doors. Obviously with less controls as appropriate here. Let me show you the reclining seats. So if you want to fold them, it's a 60-40 split. They fold like so, and then I'll bring it back. And so this is the, oops. Okay, so this is the non-reclined position. And then I will push it back and recline it some more. Now it's in the reclined position. Okay, and finally, I think that brings us to the trunk. So let's take a look at that. To access the trunk, much like on the new Escalade, you press down on the Cadillac logo. The liftgate opens up, revealing quite a spacious trunk. There's quite a bit of space here. Look at that. It is quite large. And, of course, the seats do fold down flat. I can fold them from here, like so, and like so. There it is. It's not completely flat, but it's almost flat. That's an observation there. Some nice detailing here with the Cadillac script and these lines over here. And those of you wondering, so there is no frunk in the Lyriq. In case you're wondering what that looks like, let me show you. Just pull this lever twice. You're going to open up what would have been the frunk, but it's not the frunk because there's nothing under here. There's just this. So, although I do like the monochromatic Cadillac crest here and these lines that Cadillac has been using for the last several years, of course, revealing this or taking all this off would reveal the front motor and some of the battery technology, I believe. In this case, there is no front motor in this particular model. The hood liner does have the Cadillac crest as well. It's a nice touch. So, for those of you wondering what happened to the frunk is actually in the trunk. Ta-da! There it is. It's actually, if I can show you. There it is. I do have some things in here, but this is a pretty deep storage area. Get all this out. So, there is no frunk, but there is this. And Cadillac also did get a little bit creative as to how it stores, for instance, things like this this privacy shade, and then over here in this Cadillac branded briefcase, it's the actual charger. So, just like that. Overall, this is a very, very well done cabin. In fact, I would say that this is the best cabin that Cadillac has produced in really its entire history. The materials, the attention to detail, the fact that the materials first and foremost are authentic, and if they're not authentic, they all look like and feel like they're authentic. And then secondly, the comfort of the seats, the driver position, it's all just really well done from an ergonomic standpoint, from a tech and user experience and user interface standpoint. The human machine interface here is just astounding. I really just can't say enough good things about it. So between the materials, between the seating position and the actual HMI, between all the little details that Cadillac designers seem to have thought of, all the little nooks and crannies that have these little triangles, the little murrettes on the side, I can't think of any modern Cadillac that has had this level of attention to detail. and that has had materials as good as this car. So I am thoroughly impressed, and that's just after spending an hour with the Lyriq. I just cannot imagine what will happen after I spend more time with it and get accustomed to, you know, all the different features that it has. So home run. That's the one way I would put the interior of the Lyriq. It's simply a home run.
Motrolix.